Okay, so want to know how to make lightning in Blender. So there is a simple way to do this with Grease Pencil, and I'll just go ahead and start the playback here to show you an example or a sample of what I've done, and then I'm going to start from scratch. So here's our lightning. It's done, as you can see, it's done entirely in Grease Pencil. We're just using a little bit of an optical illusion here to make it look like it's traveling along this pole. Bring it back into the camera view, and makes a pretty nice effect. Starting from scratch, what we're going to do is go to File, and we're going to go to New, and then General. And I'll go ahead and save that file. We might need it for later. But got your Blender set up here. Delete your cube, all of that good stuff. You can go ahead, you can delete the light source too. But we're going to start from our camera view because Grease Pencil usually is set by default to what will be tracked along, be tracked with the camera, so it's only going to show up like that. So first, what you want to do in your viewport here, make sure your mouse is inside it. We're going to hit Shift A and then go to our Grease Pencil here and go to blank, and it will place a blank Grease Pencil here on your origin, if you've got your origin set to center. So what we want to do after we've done that, after we've imported, is go up here to our modes list and select draw mode. And what we're going to do after that is go to our Grease Pencil layers, and you can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to say lightning for this, and it's set by the colors and the material tabs are set to black by default. So we're going to change that to I guess a portrayed regular lightning color. I'll set it to this weird cyan blue because that's usually what I like to start with. And just going to drag our timeline up here. And as you can see, the Grease Pencil by default already has a keyframe ready for you, and you can begin drawing. You can set your strength and radius of the brush to whatever you want. I'm going to set my strength all the way up, and I'm going to turn the pen pressure off for that because I don't really want it to do that, but I do want it to do it for the radius, so I'll keep that on. I'll set this to roughly 40 in width. So this should be strong enough to get started, and we're going to be animating in 4s mostly for this lightning. So what we're going to do is press 1, or make sure you're on the first keyframe here, and we're going to make the lightning arc up and around and down and back through and off of the camera. So I'm just going to give it, like, say, a little flash right here, for example. Give it some arcs. Okay, nice. So I've got that first portion done, and what we're going to do is go to our 4th frame. Again, animating on 4s. So we're going to jump to our 4th frame and hit I, and it will bring up a little sub menu here, and you're going to select Insert Blank Keyframe. And if you do not have your stuff here set to a default, like what seems to have happened with mine, there should be onion skinning that you can turn on in your Grease Pencil tab menu up here at the top. So just make sure your onion skinning's on, and remember, it will not show up when you switch it to rendered view. But since we're in materials view, it's going to show up as this onion skin over here so we can keep track of what the last frame was. Again, starting on your 4th frame, we're going to bring this up here. We're going to have the lightning dart this direction, maybe give it a few arcs like it's, like it's meandering and trying to find a different route to go, joining up in different places around these corners. Get a few streamers. And we get a nice secondary arc right here. And then we'll go out to one more frame. Well, we're going to count 4 frames, so we're going to go to our 8th frame. And we're going to hit I on our keyboard again. And when that submenu pops up, again, just hit Insert Blank Keyframe. And I'm going to have the lightning sort of dart, arc, and go down. And it's going to kind of snap around the corners right here, like a little bit of a rubber band. And if you want to, and from where the previous arc was, you can leave a few like little dots here, as if it's got kind of a trail from the last arc. And then we're going to do one more keyframe here and put in, we're going to go to our 16th frame, no, 12th frame, sorry. So we're going to go to our 12th frame here, and we're just going to have it kind of arcing back off, I guess you could call it the floor. Don't do what I did and forget to insert a blank keyframe. Again, press I, insert blank keyframe. And we're going to have it shooting off in this direction. Off of the screen. And we'll leave a few blank spots, a few blank dots from where this previous arc was. And then we're going to count 4 more frames here. Go from 12 to 16. Press I again. Insert your blank keyframe, and the only thing that's going to be left of our lightning here is a few of these little dots and arcs after it's darted off of the screen. And then we can go and just count 2 frames out. Press I, and that'll be on our 18th frame. And just kind of give this a nice little arc here, as if the lightning is sort of snapping from the center, from where its core was, and dissipating. We'll count 1, 2 more frames. Go to the 20th frame. I, to insert blank keyframe, and just make it dissipate just a little more. And then go to count 2 more frames out. Press I again, insert blank keyframe, and there we go. We have no more lightning on that layer. So you can see it snapping from point A to point B on the animation. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce our final frame time over here so we can just play it on a loop. And I'm going to set it to about, I believe it was 22 frames. 22 frames. So it looks kind of nice like this, but it doesn't look, it looks choppy. It looks very choppy. So what we're going to do to actually fix that problem is we're going to do something a little bit unconventional here, but without adding any extra keyframes, at least for the grease pencil, we're going to add that to we're going to add a keyframe instead to the entire object, which is your grease pencil over here. So I want you to go up to your top menu here for your modes, and then select object mode instead. And you'll know that object is selected when there's an orange highlight around the lightning. So our object is selected. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our playback menu. Sorry, not the playback menu, our editor type. We're going to go into our graph editor instead. And once we've done that, I want you to go into your data properties tab. And we're going to, on this animate property thing out here next to opacity, we're going to tick that box, and that's going to start a keyframe on the opacity, and make sure you're set on frame 1 for opacity. And you saw something new pop up in the timeline while we're in the graph editor, and that is the opacity setting on this timeline. So what we're going to do is we're going to cause the lightning to blink and actually make it look a lot smoother, or give it a smoother look. So an easy way to do that is, once you've done that, there should be a very tiny little menu over here if you haven't opened it yet. And it will look like it's got a little tab just like this. But mine's set open to default. So that's going to be called your F-curves. So in our F-curves menu, under active F-curves, we're going to select modifiers. And then we're going to add a modifier. And we're going to select built-in function. And by default, it's going to give you a sine wave. Now see what this is doing? This is causing the lightning to blink in and out of existence here, because it's making our opacity for this jump along this curve from 0 to 1. So from full opacity to 0 opacity, making it invisible. But what I'm going to do to make the lightning look like it's blinking here is I'm going to change the amplitude of it just a little bit. You can put whatever amplitude you want. You don't have to follow my exact settings here, but I'm going to set mine in about, we'll say 3. 3 should work. And then I'm going to up the amount of my phase to make it faster. And we'll set that guy at about, let's see what it looks like first. We'll set that guy to about 3. I'm going to open up a new thing here and go to my timeline so I can play it. And I'm going to unselect that object so I can see it a little bit better. Okay, cool. So we've got a really cool looking chunk of lightning here. So let's go back to our object. It's not quite where I want it to be at. So I think the phase needs to be offset just a tad. I'll set it to about, it's probably gonna, and maybe we need to turn the phase down a little bit. It's not nearly as fast. No, I was wrong. But you can sit here and take and play with the time, like while it's in the timeline, and play with it. To get it to the level that you want it at. We actually need to turn the amplitude down. It's disappearing way too fast. And then we'll just adjust our phase a little bit so it looks a lot smoother. You've got a nice lightning arc here. It kind of looks like it's traveling left to right a little bit faster than it is because of this optical illusion. So there's one problem with the lightning though, and it doesn't really have that glowing flash around it. So what we're going to do to change that is we're going to go into our effects menu while we've got the grease pencil selected, of course. We're going to go into our effects menu, and I'm going to add a glow. And we're going to put it on a frame here where I can see it. And I'm going to take and turn the opacity all the way up. We should be able to up our threshold. And we may need to change the glow color to something that's close to matching that. If it's not glowing for you, what's likely happening is in our that's what it was. You're not in your, I'm not in my rendered view. Another problem you may also encounter, you'll notice it's still not displaying properly in here once we're in rendered view. And that's because Blender by default seems to like to, and when you go into the data properties tab over here, it sets the grease pencil to use lights to account for the environment that it is in. And that's not really optimal for things like lightning. So this little use lights underneath your opacity here, we can just turn that off. And now it will come back and show through raw what it is supposed to look like. And once we've done that, I'm going to go to our glow here, and we're going to turn our threshold up or down. Back in our glow menu, or back in our effects menu, we're going to turn that down until it just barely reaches the threshold of what we want it to glow as. We can actually set the glow color to something much lighter here. And it's still got some fuzzy edges around it, and that doesn't look so fantastic. And what it is you have to adjust the size on the X and Y here. And we're just gonna reduce that a little bit, probably to about, we'll set it to 18 exactly on the X and 18 along the Y, so you get a little bit of a glow there. All right, now let's play our lightning back. Now you've got lightning with a bit of glow around the outside edges of it. If you want to make it just a little bit better, go the extra mile and add an extra touch on it, you can. Again, make sure your grease pencil is selected, and we're going to come up here and make sure we're going to go back into draw mode, and we're going to create a new material over here in our materials tab. I'm going to set that one to new and make sure it doesn't have its light settings on. And we're going to change that to, I'll name this one white core, and we'll change our base color to white. our keyframes for this, since we've already set them in our timeline, and it's set for this layer of this grease pencil, we shouldn't have to worry about animating any extra or adding an extra layer on top of this. We can just draw directly on top of this layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a white core to the lightning, where the light should be the most intense, is radiating from the center. Right, and we're going to continue doing this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Right, get a nice white core going there. It'll become way more apparent when it starts to, when you actually see it in motion. If you want to, you can kind of have it meander off like this. Make it a little uneven in places, like it's going wild. And then add some more on your next frame and repeat this process. And that is how you make cel shaded or anime lightning in Grease Pencil. If you found this tutorial useful, please like and subscribe. If you've got friends who want to do stuff like this, please refer the video to them if you think it would be useful. Also, I have a comic book called Tales of the Gods that I'm selling on itch.io under Dark Arts Studios. So if you would like to see that or purchase it to help support me, just give a like or subscribe to the channel, or you can purchase the comic books that I have available on itch.io. Just a word of warning, they are 18 and up. I am not selling this to kids, so I do not make comic books for kids. So, but hopefully this helps you out. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to purchase those. But thank you for watching and have a great day.